What's up, fam? It's your boy Demuir here, purveyor of all sounds underground. Thank you for joining me on my YouTube channel today for another technical and practical producer tip. This one is going to be on Eventide's split EQ. To say it's revolutionary is an understatement. I am super excited to share this with you. But before we jump into things, what I need from you is that SLC. So hit subscribe, like, comment, and more importantly, hit the notifications bell to stay in touch with the new videos that we have up and coming. Okay, let's get right into this one because it is juicy and there's quite a few things I want to cover off with this. But split EQ, what is it? Well, the way Eventide describes it is having an ability to repair, enhance, and rebalance and widen any musical source or audio signal running through the frequency spectrums. And how many times as producers who regularly check out plugins and gear, how many times have we heard that statement? But I'm here to tell you, and I'm not getting paid for this at all whatsoever. I'm here to tell you that they are absolutely able to deliver on all of that as a result of the second part here, which is their ability to split the EQ essentially into a transient and a tonal component that allows you to EQ right across the spectrum. So literally being able to solo out the transients in a signal at a specific frequency and doing the same for the tonal components of audio signal and having just so much control across a typical parametric EQ. So this is just so huge because it allows me and you and a whole bunch of us in this industry who love producing underground electronic music to be able to say, okay, that sample, I literally want to isolate this instrument in the sample and enhance it. I want to bring it forward. And the example I'm going to show you is how I was able to bring forward a conga element out of an old disco record I sampled, because there's just so much going on. Like, it's got scratches and record rumbling going through it. And I really wanted to concentrate and bring forward the conga elements of the sample. So I'm going to show you that in a bit. But we've all been here and said, well, okay, well, we'll just do a bell curve EQ or bell shelf or whatever and just push it up a little bit, exaggerated, and then we hear it and then try and control the the harmonics or the frequency surrounding that part of the area that you're trying to isolate. And I'm here to tell you that this gives you just so much flexibility to be able to just get it right, and it sounds natural, organic, and musical all at the same time. So that's why I'm so excited about this. As a sample heavy producer, this is such a dream for me and for all of us to jump right into. So the example I'm going to show you on my screen now is a remix I'm doing for Jump Recording. Shout out to Arturo Garces and Chris Jackson. Arturo was the one who actually put me on to split EQ, and I was like, wow, what is that? And then I checked it out. I was like, yo, I got to get into this. I think you should be able to hear the differences without necessarily having to do it on studio speakers or studio quality open back headphones like these ones. But oh, sorry, it looked like I gave you the finger there. I really didn't mean that. So open back studio headphones. You might want to get into this. I highly recommend it. I'm going to do so. So join along with me. So let's listen to the sample I'm talking about here. I sampled this off some disco record way back in the day, and I always loved it because it was just so cool. I'm gonna shut off the EQ and you can hear the original deal. So it sounds pretty cool, right? The congas, everything are bouncing. Now I'm gonna put split EQ on, and you know what, actually, before I jump into everything here, that's how excited I am, because I want to show you what this thing does. Let's just go over quickly the the cosmetics of this solution. First impression. So, like I said, standard 8-band parametric EQ style here, right across the board, as low as looks like, yeah, the low end of the frequency spectrum here. So 10 hertz, 200, 400, and then we get into the mid-range, mid-high, and then high frequency bands here. And then over here to the far right is what I want to show you, and I'll get into this later, is what they call the gains for transient, which is the green here, and tonal, part of the audio signal, and these are the split gains for it, hence the term split EQ. So super cool, very easy to read, laid out nicely, easy to get into. Then you have your just standard stuff, panning. It's pretty cool to be able to pan the transient, if you think about that, and also the tonal component. And that's the creative part about this. It's like a surgical EQ, but a lot of creative elements that are available to the user. Then you have scale, which I haven't figured out yet. I think this probably has to do with the vision. No, I don't know. This is first impressions. I haven't had a lot of time with it, so forgive me. I might do another video on it, but I'm not too sure what this is. If you guys know what it is and you've had some more time on it, please comment. Let us know. Then you just have your standard stuff, your bypasses here at a global and EQ level. And then you have the analyzer on or off to toggle pre or post. And then you have your pan situation, the EQ, and as well you can have the transient separation. I haven't dug into this as much yet, so I'm not going to comment on that, but you can just get right into this thing. And up top here is a whole bunch of presets you can choose from and the different situations you may be dealing with as starting points. So I'm not going to get into that. This is a very specific tutorial on how I went about enhancing this conga loop, because I just wanted to pull forward the conga elements in the low mids of the sample to complement the remix I'm working on here. So as you can see, let's play the sample again. So you can see I made the decision to up the tonal element of this particular sample at about, looks like there it is, 246 hertz. So, and I left the transients as is. So you're probably like, yeah, what's the big deal with that? Well, let's have a listen to the difference. Because remember, I wanted to enhance the conga piece here as much as possible. I also did some stuff on the high end here, which we'll jump into a bit later, and I'll explain why I did that, but let's focus on this here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring that tonal component back down to 0. Let's see here, 0. Right, just even keel. Let's listen to that. Let's exaggerate it a bit because it still sounds pretty normal. And maybe what I'll do now is just solo out the tonal component. Now, let's start raising that up. That at like 3.7 dB, I think. Let's A/B it. So that's without the boost there. We're just soloing out the tonal component of what I want to enhance. So that's bypassed. Now it's on. Bypassed. On. Alright, so let's take that off. And you know, I'll do the same thing again, but I'll let everything continue to play. So let's bring it down to even keel at 0. The tonal piece. Let's exaggerate it a little. And let's slowly bring it back up. You can hear that's really dope. And let's just bypass the whole thing. You can hear there's more roughness and rumbling in the record of the sample. And now, with it on, you get the full clarity and the boost that I wanted for the conga component, which is really dope. And the other thing I love about this is that the EQs, it's always aligned between the tonal component, the EQ, and the transient. So what I mean by that is you'll see, you know, this top piece here, this is representing the tonal component, you know, the sort of blue, and then green for the same band is operating the transient piece. So let's listen to what the transients are doing now that I got the sound that I like. I thought this was interesting because this is supposed to be no manipulation of you know, this part of the frequency spectrum in terms of transients, because it's even keel, but I can boost it, and I love that. That just sounds dope. Like, bring it back down. But you can now say, hey, I want to add some boost into the transient now that I got the tonal components where I want it. I can listen to just that transient. Just some extreme things here. Bring it all back in. Maybe it, you know, but I like the transient where it was, which is just right at 0. And you can, you know, also say, hey, I like how this is sounding. Let me align it just to see what it sounds like if I gave it the same boost. And all you got to do is just double click it. So they're both at the same level in terms of the gain. So I'm going to put things back to where they were. And then if you wanted to bring the transient up, you just double click where I had the tonal component. So let me do that again. We got the tonal band here. I like how it's sounding. And we know when I boosted the gain on the transient piece, it sounded like it had a bit more thump to it. So if I want to just line it right up with the same degree of boost, I just double click the tonal. And there you go. You should immediately hear that. So that's with the boost and the transient. This is without now. With it, and without. So, if you are sitting there and you don't understand the power of that, you are completely lost. As a sample-heavy producer, this is amazing. You know, we literally went in and said, yo, let's pull up that conga tone, and if we wanted to add a bit more punch to it, we can easily do that by manipulating the transient. That's what we did. I actually was able to add a bit more thump, or not thump, but a bit more meat to the open hat side here. So if you look at the 4th band, and maybe we could solo that out. So there it is, soloed out. And I was like, man, it sounds better if I feel like I'd extend that hi-hat a bit. Let's bring it back down. And all I'm doing is I'm messing with that specific transient in that part of the frequency spectrum. At, I think we were originally at 7.2, if I'm not mistaken. Right here. This is crazy to me. This is nuts. And we can take the solo off. We feel comfortable with what we've done. Oh, and here's the other cool thing too. We could solo it. I was just soloing out the gain before with the tonal component. We could do it right in the band. I could come here, solo the transient in that band. Crazy, man. And that's the blended solo. This shit is so crazy to me. So this is phenomenal. So let's listen to it with the other instruments, because I made that mixing decision based on the other instruments I had at play here. So so let's take split EQ off and play the other instruments. And just concentrate on the conga. Now I brought the conga in. I gotta take the vocal out. There it is without split EQ. There's a lot going on in there, because I've heard the song so many times I can immediately hear the difference. Why don't we just do it with the Fender Rhodes? So Fender Rhodes loop, conga break. With split EQ on, let's take it off. It almost sounds flatter. Split EQ back on. I might even add a touch in the transient just to punch it up a bit. You can see it there too, but I like to use my ears more. Let's do that again. So split EQ off. Back on. Crazy. Crazy. I was able to get very specific with what I wanted out of that conga loop against the other instruments that are in play here. So, I'll let you hear the full mix of this, because I collapsed it down to one track and, made it stereo, just, blending both channels. But I actually EQ'd this. Let me copy for continuity here. I actually EQ'd this over two tracks, so one pan hard left, one pan hard right. And I did that because of just the way they recorded records in the 70s, mainly in mono, and they had certain instruments on different sides. So hearing it together now, it sounds like there's just more depth. Same EQ, but because it's split on either side, certain instruments are playing more dedicated to either side of the speakers. And here's the other thing, I should pause here for a second. A lot of people are saying, yeah, it's a competitor to this EQ, FabFilter's Pro Q. But I actually found that you can use the two in unison, and here's how it sounds when I engage FabFilter Pro Q. I just like the notch on FabFilter, because I was dealing with an annoying scratch. It's subtle, but I can hear it, so I wanted to deal with it. And let's play it all together. Let me take the conga loop out of split EQ. Crazy, crazy, crazy bad. This is a dream. So that is a real life, living and breathing example. I do see, other uses for this EQ in different situations. Like if you got a bad vocal, pairing this up with something like Soothe 2 would just knock it right out of the park to get rid of certain pieces in the frequency spectrum that you don't like, or if you want to punch up a certain tone in the singer's voice, you can easily do it with this. Beat breaks, as I just demonstrated here, Rhodes, keys, oh man, vocals. I can go on for days. Percussion instruments as well. This is a must-have tool that you need in your arsenal. But let's just talk a little bit about the performance and installation. So in terms of performance, it's great, as you can see, but it is, I will say this, like, depending on how many instances you have, it will rock your CPU. Now, in fairness, I am using a late model 2013 iMac. I do plan to go up to the M1 or M2 chip next year, but I'm using an older model Mac, and I'll just show you here quickly. If you look at the utilization, crazy, it jumps up, right? And as soon as I shut these off, you can see it drop pretty dramatically. I haven't seen it go to 75, but like 50% on average. That's where I've seen it. And when it's engaged, obviously it jumps up quite a bit. That part doesn't necessarily bother me, because the reality is this is a surgical and creative EQing tool. So you're not going to have like 50 instances of split EQ in a project or in one of your sessions going for a particular song. It just wouldn't make sense. If you find yourself having to do that, then obviously every sound in a project is screwed up. So I'm not too fussed about that, and I wouldn't be too concerned. The installation was super easy. It does require iLock, but it was super easy to do without any problems. So from a price perspective, and my next point here, I think the normal price, if you go to Eventide's site, it's about 179 US or 180 US. And right now it's available, I think because of Black Friday sales, etc., at $99. I would jump on this straight away based on what I've just shown you. There's so much that can be done with this. I didn't even mention this earlier. Like, this is definitely going to be something that's going to rock on my drum bus. I can tell you that straight away. It's going to be there with my DBX 160, punching things up, because with that transient control in the EQ combined, it's crazy. And I think with something like this, it will make for better records. I really do. It's a well thought out plugin, very easy to use, super intuitive, and you can get very creative with it. So it's a thumbs up for me on this one. I would definitely go out and purchase this straight away. You just need to go get it, put it in your arsenal. I'm not even being paid to say the stuff and endorse the product. It just comes from actual practical experience, and now being able to see how I'm going to use this in the future. And I encourage you guys to just go after it. It's such a dope product. And I think I'll stop there. Please comment. Let me know your thoughts on this video, if you can hear some of the differences, or if you do have the plugin itself, any other enhancements or things you've come across, or things or concerns in performance you've come across. Would love to hear about that in the comments. I usually join the conversation within 48 hours of posting these videos, so I love to see what you got to say. Much love and respect out to y'all. Stay well, stay happy. Much love and respect. Peace.